The General Motors transmission issue for their 10-speed has actually gotten a lot worse. Their valve bodies are on back order, and this video I'm going to show you what happens when you don't have the software installed. Watch this. So I believe this is a 2500 with the Allison transmission.
Yeah, and boy, Jacques turned things started to get good finally, and that 86 since I mean, that's a long time.
Oof. Happened again.
That night I got 100.
Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. I am actually going to interview, hopefully this weekend, the owner of this vehicle. The rear wheel's locked up, obviously. He's towing a big fifth wheel at the time. Obviously a scary situation, and I hope that nobody has to go through that. So there are a couple things we're going to talk about in this video. Very important that you get the recall done, but also the recall is not really enough. I think owners really need to consider being proactive and unfortunately spending some money out of pocket if they can't get the dealership to fund a better valve body repair. We're going to talk about all that in this video. Let's get started. Now, your mileage may vary. Ha, joke there. Here's what happened to Nolan. He dropped off his 2020 2500 Duramax, 121,000 miles. They installed the software by lunch, and then he got 5 miles down the road and his truck started bucking, drops into 5th gear from 9th, and the check engine light comes on and he had to return to the dealer. And notice the dates on these, right? This is February 12th. This is happening. I could find you 100 examples. I've just picked some that I randomly chose, some of the most recent. Andrew Lynn's, she has a 2024 Trail Boss Custom. The valve body just went out. She loves her truck, only 5,000 miles on it. It's going on 3 weeks at the dealer now with no sign of parts showing up anytime soon. She's wondering if she should claim lemon law. I would, personally. Now, this does get a little bit more crazy. Here's Alex Johnson. He has a pretty good story and some receipts. 2024 GMC AT4 6.6 Duramax. He's on his 3rd valve body. Yeah, let that sink in a little bit. First one broke and was fixed in October. Second one went out just 3 weeks after he picked it up. The first one was on November 14th, 2024. It's still at the dealership since November. As of today, February 7th, 2025, he signed the papers and it's bought back from General Motors, thank God. So at least GM is doing the right thing, similar to what Toyota did with their engine issues. Here's his receipt as proof. It has his VIN number. Hopefully he doesn't mind, but he posted this on the web. So, hey, there you go. 2024 Sierra, you can see the valve body. There's also a second page to this. So roughly $1,500 for the valve body and about $500 for labor. And here's the second page, same costs. And this also goes to show that this recall is not including the new ones, right? This is a 2024 that Alex has. The recall only includes 2020 through 2022. So obviously, they didn't update valve body. So the 2024s are having the same issue that the 2020s, 2021s, 2022s were having. Now, this guy was a little ahead of the game. He's bought the kit that I'm going to reference in this video. He took his 2020 dually to a shop to do the next-gen transmission upgrade kit. After tearing into the transmission, he said it was too late. It was full of shavings in the valve body and the rest of the transmission. It needs a new transmission, lines flushed, and new cooler. 59,000 miles. What's interesting with him is he actually had his transmission serviced at General Motors at the dealer at 46,000 miles, which is quite early, and they said it was fine. Here's another example, Lisa Gray. They were actually towing their camper with their 2023 GMC Sierra 3500, 22,000 miles on the truck. It said been on the road since December. Leaving the station, we felt a hard shift. Tow haul mode shut down, engine brake disengaged, and check engine light steady on. Went into limp mode. The tech said it needed a new valve body. Her husband said he sees a Ram in their future. And if this thread doesn't shock you, it was on February 11th. I don't know what will. This guy says, how long are you all waiting for the transmissions? His went out on his 2020. One person had to wait 2.5 weeks, but let's jump down to Greg. This is a little bit crazy. Greg says the first one was a week and we got our 10th one in under 2 months installed. Had them all delivered to a transmission shop and they made some upgrades in them before installing. These were all 10-speed transmissions. Someone asks, you've gone through 10 transmissions? He said they were all covered under warranty except the upgrade parts he installed. I think it was around $1,000 for the upgraded parts to be installed. 10 different trucks with 50,000 kilometers. Only trucks with original transmissions are the 6 speeds. And now he does say with this upgrade kit, he said they've gone over double the mileage and they haven't had any problems on them. That's really the key to this. Even if you have the recall, even if you have the software update, definitely recommend going to Next Gen Drivetrain and ordering the upgrade kit. Now, this came in just yesterday. Jason got a call from GM customer service stating that transmissions are no longer on back order. His is on the way. That's some good news. The bad news is he's still going to have to upgrade the valve body after he gets all of this work done. He asked if they were using a different valve body. She said no, that they have a program that they will be putting into his truck. It's ridiculous. They know what's causing the issue, but unwilling to truly fix it. This is why I think, man, if you've got a GM friend or something, please send them this video. Have them upgrade their valve body. It's like $800. So I have several problems with this. The first problem is this recall. The recall really only detects when your truck is going to fail and then notifies you and puts your truck in 5th gear into limp mode. It doesn't actually resolve the root cause. The second problem I have is if you're having hard shifting, you're probably damaging your transmission already. And General Motors is extending the warranty, but I believe only on the valve body. So in this scenario, you're damaging your transmission and they're just trying to basically push you until you get out of warranty. I'm just calling it like I see it. I'm not trying to bash GM. This is just how I'm reading the recall. If they replace your valve body from General Motors under warranty, you're likely just going to get the same valve body that you have today, which is not upgraded and not necessarily better than the one that they were having issues with to begin with. So that's another issue. GM is extending the warranty on certain parts of the transmission. This is sent out to owners. They say, if the condition occurs on your vehicle within 15 years from the date your vehicle was originally placed in service or 150,000 miles, whichever comes first, the condition will be repaired for you at no charge. It seems to me that reads like they will probably only warranty the valve body for 15 years, 150,000 miles, not necessarily the transmission, which is what we're going to talk about now, which is how this actually ends up destroying the transmission. I'm going to read you from Next Gen Drivetrain's website, and I'm not affiliated with them at all. They're not sponsoring this video. I just think this is a kind of a consumer advocacy thing. I've been researching trucks to purchase for myself, and this is one of the reasons why I haven't purchased one. So from their website, they say, we are the company that engineered a fix for this back in mid-2023. We actively receive several calls a day from people who are down all over the country, often little or no support from General Motors. Most of them are not being given loaner vehicles. They go on to say, there is a fix. We want you to know about it because we believe General Motors is actively hiding it from you. Do not let them tell you that there is no fix. And that's what they say in the description on the recall, that there really isn't a fix. It's just a software update to tell you when your valve body is going to fail. They go on to get even more harsh. They say, in fact, we can have the parts to fix these vehicles on site as quickly as overnight shipping. With early morning delivery, General Motors simply doesn't want to pay the bill their engineering malpractice created. And now they're socializing the costs onto their customers, and we think you should know about it. Furthermore, we are aware that some people who are knowingly or unknowingly doing public relation work for General Motors are claiming that this is barely a problem and only affects a few vehicles. Not only is this an unintelligent argument, essentially a dismissal of the thousands of people making payments on a vehicle that is dust collecting at their shop or dealership, the facts also prove otherwise. As of November 2024, 462,000 vehicles are covered under this recall, and it appears the recall may be expanded to cover even more. Of course, not all of them are experiencing this problem, but all of them contain the parts that cause the problem to take place. They do go on to say, to give credit where credit is due, some dealerships were willing to help their customers, and they actually let Next Gen Drivetrain help them. They didn't want to be forced to buy back the vehicles from customers that had only had them a short period. Most of the dealerships paid out of pocket to order the upgraded valve body kit from Next Gen Drivetrain and then put it in their customers' cars instead of using the General Motors version. He says, when is the last time you've heard of a dealership doing that? But unfortunately, the higher powers of General Motors did not want to hear us or their dealership network out. Here's where it gets even worse. We now see General Motors publicly telling people that there is no mechanical fix. This is a lie. We fixed it over a year ago. We know this because we spoon-fed them this information long before they ever acknowledged the problem. They even told nearly every dealership we were working with that they were unwilling to pay for the repairs using our parts, even when offered a discount to simply help these customers. They have publicly stated, of course we went through this, that the best they can do is to provide a software update that monitors pressure and puts the vehicle into a fail-safe mode before the rear axles can lock up. This does not fix the problem, it simply masks the symptoms with limp mode. This is exactly what I talked about in my last video. Worst of all, the updated valve body they claim to be releasing also doesn't appear to fix the problem. How do we know? We sourced one from an insider and disassembled it, only to find nominal changes that did not directly impact the problem. So this is proof. This company took an updated valve body from a fixed transmission from General Motors, and they basically reversed engineered it and said, this is exactly like the ones that were failing. There you go. Now, this gets a little into the weeds. They talk about how the transmission can lock up the rear axles, and they described how they discovered the problem. There are 6 clutch packs in the transmission, 2 brake clutches, 4 rotary clutches. At any given time, there are 3 clutch packs turned on to enable continuity of torque through the transmission. This means that if at any time there are only 2 clutch packs engaged, the transmission will likely be immobilized, neutralized. And if at any point there are 4 clutch packs engaged, the transmission will try to enter 2 gear ratios concurrently and create a bind-up condition. There is a clutch pack in the torque converter as well, but it's not related to this problem in any way. When we began studying the problem, we realized that the most likely issue was a 4th clutch pack applying at an inappropriate time. Like we stated, if at any point a 4th clutch pack engages, the transmission will likely lock the output shaft, causing the rear axle to lock up. If the vehicle is in 4-wheel drive, it will also lock the front axle. And let's explore how we figured this out. So what specifically is causing the problem? It costs us hundreds of thousands of dollars in research, design, drafting, data collection, testing, and prototyping to fix this problem. Because of this, it frustrated us that General Motors is going so far out of their way to pretend there is no fix to this problem. It's even more disturbing when you consider the fact that many people with these trucks are business owners whose lives are financially destroyed by losing access to their vehicle for so long. This is one of the main reasons we are making this information public. Also, we discovered that the Ford 10-speed, this transmission's fraternal twin, did not have this problem. This means that the problem is logically caused by something the General Motors variant has that Ford does not. Furthermore, they discovered that customers who installed their Project Carbon General Motors 10-speed valve body upgrade kit almost always had the problem fixed, and customers that installed the actual valve body that they provide from this company, that always fixed the problem, so they knew it was something with that. This means that the problem is clearly caused by a hydromechanical difference between Ford and General Motors valve body. But we discovered something else that was even more alarming. There are 2 generations of the 10-speed General Motors transmission, but only one type of the 10-speed Allison, which is most similar to the later generation of the 10-speed General Motors unit. Why is this important? We have 0 recorded events of the first generation of the valve body having this symptom. The first generation of this valve body is almost identical to the Ford 10R80. This helped us narrow it down even further because we know the problem is something that was changed between the first generation and the second generation 10-speed General Motors transmission. Also, we know that the problem is a part that is a mutual design between the Allison variation of the transmission and the General Motors variation of the transmission. At this point, there are only so many parts remaining. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, the problem becomes more likely as the transmission ages, implying it's caused by a component wearing out or degenerating rather than a spontaneous electronic failure. So what ultimately caused the problem? A combination of cross leaks in the valve body that became worse over time and can trigger the transmission to apply a 4th clutch pack erroneously in some of the higher gears, causing a bind-up condition that locks the output shaft of the transmission and subsequently the rear axle. Then they go on to show 2 different colors of transmission fluid. The one on the left, they say you're probably going to need a new transmission. The one on the right, you can probably just upgrade the valve body. They do say to be careful where you get your parts, even if you get your valve body replaced by someone else. They say that they receive many core exchanges that were previously built at facilities that are using OEM parts, and many of them develop the same exact issues almost immediately after. A simple spring kit or updated valve body is not a fix to the problem. In conclusion, they say, don't let General Motors or their proxies at the dealerships lie to you. We can't shout this loud enough. There is a fix, and there has been a fix the entire time they knew about this problem and even before. We want this information out to as many consumers and technicians as possible so that these vehicles can get back on the road reliably and safely. In fact, many dealerships have bought these parts off us at their own expense because they know that if the vehicle is down for an extended period of time, that they may be legally required to purchase it back off of you. A $100,000 truck is much more costly than a few $1,000s in parts and wrench time. I will put a link to this Facebook group in the description, and please send this to any General Motors people that you know that have the 10-speed. I think it's important. It needs to be fixed correctly so that people can just have a long-term product that they enjoy. It might cost them $800, $1,000 extra, maybe even out of pocket. But man, it is peace of mind when you're going across the country, towing your camper, whatever you're doing with your family. You don't want to be stranded. So I think this is worth it. It was worth it to make a video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Till next time.